I do not like small towns. I feel weird there, as if they finally had caught me, and I am scared to find my other self at any moment. I know that living this way I will never be able to have roots. I know only a few people can handle this kind of life or follow it. I know that and I do not care. She said, but she lied. We were traveling on a train from Venice to Vienna like any other backpackers. It was night and we were all loaded with demons. Her were darker. Her name was Yuki. She was from a small unknown town in the Nagano prefecture in the Honshu Island in Japan. She was 34 years old and she had lived in several cities around the world, including Latin America, where she learned Spanish. She knew I was Mexican from my accent. So because English is my second language and sometimes it is hard to me to explain myself in this language, we choose to speak in Spanish. She was glad because she did not want to be heard by the others backpackers from the US among us. At that time, I was studying in the Kotagako 3rd grade. I was 17 years old, maybe 18 years old. I cannot remember exactly. And she started talking. The tale started with her best friend Azumi. Yuki told me that in the town, because it was small, they did not have anything to do, so they spent time at friends' houses talking or listening to music. They had a lot of fun and she really enjoyed being there. Sometimes they stayed there until the next day, but one night Azumi had to get back home, so she left early. It was a long journey to her house, but she did not want company. There were two ways to get home. The longest, that she usually took, and a shortcut through the park. Azumi did not like to take this way home, but she was late and it was still light with quite a few people around the park, so Azumi took that shortcut. Yuki told me it was a creepy park. The reason was there were so large amount of sculptures in honor of the yokai demons collocated randomly at the park. It was for protection. The history said in that part of the town, hundreds of years ago, in the shogunate era, there were too many appearances of demons that scared the villagers, and since then they built these monuments to honor them, to ask their permission to live in peace. However, Azumi did not feel protected. So when she crossed the park, she found her. At first, she thought she was a normal girl standing under a tree, maybe she was waiting for a bus or for her boyfriend. Azumi did not give too much thought and she moved on. Nevertheless, when she passed right beside her, Azumi noted something weird on her. She was not a simple girl. She did not seem alive. She was just standing there, in silence. It did not look real, physically real. It could not be, but she was. The girl was Azumi. Not somebody that looked as Azumi, but herself. This girl had the same complexion, the same hair, the same clothes, the same everything. She was not an imitation of herself, she was her. And that frightened her. Azumi did not want to be there, alone in the park with that thing. She did not try to talk with her. She just ran away as fast as possible. She did not stop until she arrived home. She locked herself in her room and stayed in fear all night. The next day, after Azumi told them her friends wanted to see her. Despite Azumi warned them, they did not listen to her and they even convinced her to show them the exact location. Therefore, Azumi took them to the park. Deep inside, Azumi wanted to take a look. Perhaps it was just a dream or a short-lived ghostly apparition. She was hoping that. But there she was. The girl looked as a statue. She had a cold, weird expression in her face, and her clothes. She was wearing the school uniform that Azumi's. "It is me," Azumi said and her voice trembled. The girls had thought that she was lying the whole time, but when they saw her, Yuki, full of curiosity, approached to her, and tried to touch her. Suddenly chills crossed all over her body. "She is alive," Yuki shouted. The girls got scared, but not enough to run away. Instead, they gathered around her and demanded her for answers. Who are you? What are you? Where are you from? What do you want? What do you have against Azumi? However, the girl did not do anything. She did not even move. She just stood there smiling, receiving screams or claims. Then Azumi hit her. Immediately Azumi screamed. What happened? They asked her. Azumi remained still. She could not explain herself. When Azumi hit her, felt like she had hit herself. The girl seemed like a normal girl, but in some way, Azumi felt an insidious and malicious seed inside her. So she got scared. In a second Azumi ran away like she was running away from hell. The other girls felt the same way and they abandoned the place as fast as they could. Azumi never returned to the park. Not only this, the real Azumi started to change. She got sick, she became quiet, and her skin color vanished. Even her hair lost texture. Her friends tried to help her. They tried to comfort her up, to make her laugh, but Azumi was not the same. She was depressed or she was scared. One day Azumi skipped school. Everybody went to visit her to chill her out, but Azumi did not want to see them. She refused to leave her room. Nobody could convince her otherwise. Azumi never got back school. Instead, the Azumi from the park each day seemed sunnier and prettier. Her skin color was brighter. Her hair had more volume. Her lips were redder. And her eyes were happier. Everybody started to like this new Azumi. They felt in love with her. Nevertheless, Yuki was afraid of her. She could admire her beauty, but she said her eyes were so cold that it gave her the creeps. Yuki was worried about her friend. So, she used to visit the old girl. But Azumi did not want her to be seen. Her parents did not want to also. They always refused to open the door. Yuki insisted every day. She knocked at the door several hours every day until the night came. She used to leave letters under the door and the next day she returned to do the same thing. Week after week until one day, Azumi's parents opened the door. "Hi, Yuki," said Mr. Akiyama. "We apologize. Azumi did not want to see anybody. We tried to help her. But now there is nothing we can do." Yuki did not know what to do or say. Yuki felt something strange, she could feel it in his voice, in his expressions, but she did not say a word. It was late. The lights of the house were off so Yuki could not see very well. She could sense somebody sits quietly on the couch. Yuki assumed it was Azumi's mother. "Azumi is in her room," said Mr. Akiyama. She had not wanted to go outside since that day. "We did what we could." Mr. Akiyama turned his back to Yuki while he was still talking and he got into the living room. "She had not taken a bath and she smells bad," he continued. "We cannot handle it. The door of her room is open if you want to come in. We cannot see her anymore. We cannot do anything about it." Mr. Akiyama sat next to his wife and stood there in silence. Then she heard a strange sound. "Akiyama-san?" Yuki asked, but he did not respond. She tried again, but he did not make a sound. Therefore, she approached to talk with him. "Are you all right?" she said, and only the silence was there. Yuki turned on the lights to see them well and she found that both of them had died. Ms. Akiyama had died long time ago. She was there like a rotten mummy, and Mr. Akiyama had cut his throat right there with a knife. Yuki was so surprised she jumped backward. In that moment, she heard an eerie scream upstairs. Somebody was calling her name. It was an odd voice. It was sharp and aggressive at the same time. It frightened her. It was coming from Azumi's room. When Yuki was closer to the room, Azumi opened the door. Yuki could not find Azumi. She was not on the floor or hidden in neither the corner nor the closet. For a moment, Yuki thought she was gone. Then, and her eyes, wide open, swollen with blood and furious. Finally, without even knowing how Yuki managed to escape. Azumi did not try to chase her, she just stood there screaming and laughing. Yuki reached her house where she remained hidden for a few days, full of fear, incapable of speaking. Then, 5 days after, her friend Yumi visited her. What happened with Azumi's double? Who? What are you talking about? Who is Azumi? Yumi did not remember anything. As far as she concerned, there was not any Azumi. There had never been any girl named Azumi. She was just an imaginary friend. Yumi insisted so much that Yuki believed her. She had dreamt everything in such real way that she could not distinguish reality from fantasy. So Yuki returned to school and tried to have a normal life. A week later, Yumi found herself on the street 1 block from her house, standing unmoving without saying a word. She assured it was the exact same person. Yumi got scared as never before. Sanosuke, 3 days later, found his other self in front of a restaurant. Takashi saw his double also. Sayumi, at the foothills, and Yuriko, discovered herself outside a veterinary. Gradually everybody found themselves everywhere, and these creatures filled the town. They appeared all over the place from one second to another. They were always happy but in silence. There were hundreds of them and everyone was real. They were not doubles. They were themselves. Yuki warned them. She told them it was not a dream. She had seen it before. But nobody believed her, so they yelled at her. Yuki even tried to set fire at the replica, but she was stopped and forced to leave. Suddenly, on the real girl appeared a burn on the face, in the exact place where Yuki had burned her double. Therefore, everybody got worried. The residents locked in their own houses and refused to leave. They did not speak each other. In addition, they abandoned the streets. The only people were the replicas, and they looked energetic, in better shape, stronger, prettier, and healthier. Then the whole town changed. The entire residents lost strength and got sick. Yuki noticed her family getting rot slowly like everybody else. She tried to convince them to leave the town, but they did not listen to her. So they locked themselves. Yuki fed them, putting the food on the floor in front of the door. They opened the door, took the plate, and quickly they closed the door. Minutes later they delivered her the empty plate. Yuki, every day, observed their hands were rotting. Yuki called the police, but nobody answered. She went out to get help, but she could not find anyone real, only doubles. The whole town got sicker and sicker. They were turning themselves into bizarre creatures, spitting eerie voices as dark demons. Yuki wandered through the town not knowing what to do. Then she felt some kind of energy or sinister presence. When she turned around, Yuki faced one of the replicas, standing a few steps in front of her. Yuki knew him. It was Kazuo's double, a teacher of her. Yuki noticed he did not look like a 45-year-old man that he was. Instead, he looked younger, healthier than the original. Yuki was amazed. She had an inexplicable strange feeling towards him. It was like she was falling in love with him. Nonetheless, abruptly Kazuo smiled, with the creepiest smile she ever saw. And suddenly all the doubles surrounded her with smiles. All of them. With a scream busted in the air. Only you are missing. It was the mix of doubles' voices in the whole town, of every single one. Yuki got scared like never before. She managed to run away as faster as she could. The replicates were everywhere, on every street, on every block. She was able to get home and abruptly locked the door. However, only you are missing. She heard behind her. Her entire family were there, rotten, more than rotten. Their distorted arms were broken and intertwined with legs, necks, and hair all mixed together. They were a meat mass with long shattered hair and rotten skin. Yuki yelled and her roar was heard throughout the whole town. When she finished the tale, she told me that she did not know if she had fainted, if she was rescued or not. She could remember that she was driving her family car and she was several miles away from the town. She did not know how she got there. For a moment, she thought everything was just a dream. She felt so weird that she could not believe it or understand what it was happening. She went to the nearest station. She asked for a telephone and tried to call home. Nobody answered. She called to her neighbors, friends, and relatives, but still, nobody answered. She tried the operator, but she was told that the phone code was not right. Actually, the operator had never heard about her town. And if you go there, Yuki added, you will see that it does not exist. There are not roads or houses. There is no any construction, not even a country path. The town does not exist. It is just part of the mountain with trees, rocks, and shrubbery. There is no sign of any civilization. I do not have a home. She stopped talking with a sad look in her eyes. Few minutes later we arrived at the Vienna train station. We went to the information center and booked a hotel. She did not want to be alone, so we stay in the same room. We went to sleep. In the afternoon, we woke up and we went out to see Vienna. We stayed there for a few days. One day when I woke up she was not there. I looked for her but her bag was not there either. So I went downstairs where the receptionist told me she had left. She left you a letter. She asked me for forgiveness. She said she could not stay too much time in a single place. She was not sure what could have happened if she did, but she felt deep inside of her a bad feeling about it. Yuki also said that she hated it to leave that way but she did not like to say goodbye. She still wanted to keep in touch with me but in a long distance. So she let me her email, she had added me to the social media and she promised to write as soon as possible. Maybe it is better this way, she concluded. She asked me not to look for her and I respected her wishes. I wrote her an email and I accepted her invitation on the social media and I did not judge her. I continued my journey and from time to time I was in touch with her. Even Yuki was continued traveling around the world. She had an online job that gave her the opportunity to not belong to anywhere. I cannot make roots, she said. If I do it I know it will happen again. Because you see, Yuki said, the weird sensation follows me every second of my life. The presence of all and any of them at the same time, it is always going to be there. If I stay, they will catch me, because only I am missing. From the whole town. Moreover, if I stay more than a week in the same place, on a corner nearby, in some subway station, on a lakeshore, anywhere, one day I will find my other self and I will know that all will be over. And the memory of Azumi, of my family, of my friends, of my neighbors and of all the people I knew, it will vanish like a horrible fate that it will destroy me in the disgusting, dreadful and eternal oblivion. I understand, I wrote her. I talked with her 2 weeks ago. She was in India. She did not know if she was going to stay there for a lot of time or only a few days. Yuki told me she was tired. She has been living so many years in the same way that she was sick about it. She wanted to stay in a place and make roots but she was scared of doing that. She did not know what to do but she will do something. She ended the chat asking me a favor. She told me that I should not forget her no matter what. Because if I do that, if someday I wake up and I cannot recall her, it will mean everything has concluded. She said. Write about me. She asked me and I am doing so. I follow my chat history on the social media. I use my travel diary or my emails as clues to assemble the whole tale because I do not really know who she is. I only know she is on my computer, on my browsing history, in pencil drawings and nothing more. Even though I try to remember her and I read the short story over and over, her face does not come to my mind and perhaps it will never do because she is only a dream, a delirium, an illusion, and nothing more.